The night is falling. Thus, it's time for me to start my own session. I don't know why I'm like this, but when it's like very late night, that's when I always feel like writing because at that time it's very quiet in every place, in the house, in the dorms. And to me, it was always like the ideal time for writing because I always needed a calm place, a calm environment for me to focus on writing anything. It's not that I never wrote in other times of the day, but late night will always be my favorite. Although it's not healthy, and to be honest, I'm not necessarily a morning person, but late night is always my favorite. And to be also starting from 3 a.m., my favorite time of the day starts, and it gets worse when it's like 6 a.m. So, yeah, this 3 hours is like my favorite time of the day. Hello, this is Tory. Today's session is called Let Night, and today it's just me having a solo conversation with myself, or like with the walls, or with the screen, and with you, listeners. Although I don't think you're ever gonna talk between this session in this session, but just saying, how did I come here? So that starts with a very long story. But before that, I want to give a shout out to some people, and that is, well, I realized that the first episode and the second episode of Soulmates, I talked about Brandon Sanderson. Apparently, he has become a staple. And why not? I mean, he's the sensei. To me, he's like the sensei, you know, GOAT, GOAT, sensei. And a few days ago, I was watching this one of his live streams, actually two of his live streams, and in those live streams, his parents came, and I don't know, I felt like that those sessions were like so wholesome, and they're like this huge big family. It felt so nice watching them, and thinking about them made me think about my parents. And you know what? I showed my parents the first episode of Lit Nights, the Soulmates one, and mom was like normal. Dad had a very funny reaction when he said that I taught my daughter English, and yet I have no idea what she's talking about. Well, yeah, because, it's very reference based, and obviously he doesn't follow K pop. Mom does, so she would understand some of it, probably. But I don't know. I just felt like that was like a funny response. And yeah, it's true. It's true. My dad was the first one who taught me like the basics. And I remember when I was a kid, I he used to teach me all the every grammar details and everything. And English isn't my first language, but I used to remember he always told me that I want you to be good at this. Okay, and I was like a good daughter, and I was internally said that, okay, fine, let's go with this. Yeah, how kids process things. I don't know. Kids are like, they're good, right? I guess I was. I shouldn't brag though. But yeah, he used to teach me. And I remember he used to teach me way advanced things like the things that people learn in fifth grade. I think he started teaching me those in first grade or second grade and third grade. And it was difficult, but to be honest, now I'm glad that he did. My dad isn't the only person who taught me English, though. To be honest, it's more of an implicit learning rather than explicit learning because I learned it from watching TV. I used to watch a lot of Cartoon Network, Animax, Nickelodeon, Disney, and Travel and Living Channel because I have to love that. I love those things. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of those shows like Rachel Allen Bake and Ultimate Cake Off and Nigella Lawson. Anything by Nigella Lawson is like dope. So I used to watch TV a lot, and there was a time like I used to like my sister was like very good at English. So when I was a kid, I was like I used to think that I want to be good at this too. Also, everyone in my family are good with accents, and That's why I wanted to be good at accents. It's not like I gave any, um, what is it called? Specific effort, but I used to remember, like, I always wanted to be good at this. I'm not how much I am, but well, there's always room for improvement. And besides family, um, I learned it from school. Everyone in my country are pretty good at English, I feel like. At least some people don't speak it, but they really understand it. And that's pretty awesome. And I learned from my friends, and I also had some extra lessons for the basics in middle school, I remember. And also in university, I had some roommates. They used to speak in English a lot, and it kind of like got off on me as well. And also, everyone in my university, it's like the main language is English in my university. I mean, it was. So there's another reason for that. Also, well, aside from my friends, I remember I it was it mainly started in high school. I used to talk to myself a lot, and apparently it has never stopped. I mean, the fact that I talk to myself a lot, so I thought that why not start doing podcasts? Because what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna talk to myself. So yeah. So yeah, during it started in high school, I used to talk to myself out loud anywhere and everywhere, and afterward it expanded exponentially, and now I just can't seem to stop. Everyone at home are like so used to it right now. They're like, yeah, okay, she's talking to herself, it's not a big deal. But I remember in university when I used to do that, people used to give me weird looks, or they used to ask my roommates like, who is she talking to? It's just one of my habit. I just can't seem to get rid of that. And to be honest, talking to myself is kind of easy because I understand what I'm saying. Sometimes I do not understand what other people are saying when the context is coming from, but I would always understand what I'm saying, so I would understand my joke the best. So it's not that bad. In fact, it's amazing. I love it. I don't want to stop. So this is how I learned. And also for creative writing, I started doing it after high school and in university. One of few of my roommates, also some of my friends online, they used to read my stuff and give me feedback. So these are like the summarized version of how I came here, like as an English speaker. Anyway, aside from that, what should I talk about today? I realized something. My voice kind of gets very high pitched. First of all, it because I don't have a microphone, obviously, but I realized I sound like those '60s Brady Bunch suburban high pitched squeaky voiced housewife. Unfortunately, should this be my new personality? A few months ago, one of my friends, I asked her that. I texted her, "How are you? Like, how are you doing?" And she jokingly said that you sound like those desperate boys who wants to slide into every girl's DMs. And apparently, yeah, I'm trying to make that into my personality. Afterward, I started doing it in all of my friends' DMs. Annoying as it can be, but yeah, this is part of my personality now. Can't be helped. So, what's this lit night about? So, by now, you must have realized that I love writing, and many of my roommates, almost all of my roommates, actually, no, all of my roommates love writing. And so around junior year, there was this, actually, before it started in freshman, actually, not in junior year. So I suddenly said that, yeah, we're like so lit. We were joking, kind of like, it's kind of deprecating, but we were like, yeah, we're so lit. Let's have lit night where we're just gonna write all night. Thus, the term lit night started, and that's how also the term lit ladies started because we used to read a lot, and I guess we still do, kind of. But although these days I'm not reading that much, actually no, I read a lot last month. But yeah, so that's how it started. Like, we're gonna be lit, we're gonna write, thus lit night, and that's how I came here, lit night. So also there's this funny thing. The friend who told me that I'm one of those desperate guys who wants to slide into every girl's DMs. She also once said that I should, because one night I was like really spamming on IG, and she commented that you should have a late night show. And that's how I started joking that, yeah, this is like a very good prompt. I'm all about prompts. I feel like I have prompts almost every 2 or 3 days a week all my life if you try to find the mean value. So yeah, I have a lot of prompts, and I'm sure I won't be able to write all of them because, you know, too many prompts, too little time. Life is like that. There's nothing you can do about it, sadly. So, so, so back to that joke she said that I should have a late night show. So I turned it into a prompt, and that is like, let's have this, now we're talking about prompt. It's story, yeah. And it's about a girl who has a late night show like this one. Not, I guess her topic would be different. So it's gonna be called Nighthawk, the show, or night bird, night owl, anything. And it's supposed to be an anonymous, cringy late night radio show. I made up that name, Nighthawk. So this story can go anywhere, but I wanted to take it to a horror thriller direction. So the story prompt goes like, there's this guy who's going to be a stalker who loves to listen to Nighthawk. So there's going to be lots of stalking and social media and everywhere. But the question is, the real question, who is this Nighthawk? Who is this? Not me, not me. I'm Tory. Who is this Nighthawk? Um, DJ, MC, something like that. Who is this? Nobody knows about her real identity. So even when the stalker is like stalking everywhere, even he is not really sure about if this person is this real or a made up person, or is this a group of people. It's a mystery. So if you try to make the story realistic, you can bring out the catfish thing. But if it's something like beyond the physical realm, in this case, find out next on Dragon Ball Z. Just kidding. In this case, this also can go into two different directions. So for now, we have three different directions. One is realistic thriller. Two, make it into supernatural. And the supernatural can go two ways. Actually, it can go many ways, but I prepared like a few of these. Two ways: it can be funny or it can be really scary. So, um, so if it's supernatural, then let's say the stalker is in trouble. That is the prompt for now. And apparently, another prompt came in my mind while saying this, and it is, beside my building where I live, there's this construction going, and let's say it's vacation time, something, yearly vacation like Eid and any other vacation. So there's only one guard in that huge building, like deserted construction site. And he was like on level 2 checking every corner, and suddenly, beside that construction site, there's gonna be a building that the apartment in the building is, no one lives there, so nobody knows what's it about. In fact, it's actually true. The one of the apartments beside ours, it's actually empty and nobody wants to live there. That's a mystery. Anyway, so the guard is like strolling at night, and suddenly his eyes fall on that empty apartment, and he sees this girl like staring at him and smiling. And it was very dark, but you could tell it, like she has very pale skin, but she's like, hauntingly beautiful, and she was like smiling in a creepy way, not creepy in a sense, like, a haunting way. So the guard, he's like a night guard. Of course, he's pretty brave. He can't just be scared. So he was like staring at her, and she was staring at him. So he starts the conversation, and she answers in as less as possible, but she has this very captivating smile on her face. So this way, they talk every night. Like every night she appears, she doesn't appear in the morning, and that's how he kind of like got attached to her. And that's the prompt. It can go anywhere. Let's hope it goes bad. I mean, not in real life. I hope nobody ever has to go through this, but let's hope that in the story it's gonna be his downfall. It can be, the genre can be supernatural or magical realism, but it's gonna be very spooky because that's all I'm about, apparently. I love horror stories. I just love them so much. Yeah, I guess I have a lot of prompt in my head. And should I tell you the story how I started writing? This is what happens when you don't have a script. You just, when you start recording, the head goes blank suddenly and you just don't know what to talk about. Well, I'm still talking a lot, I feel like, but I'm not sure how long this will go. But let's start talking about how I started writing. It's not that long. I started writing in the final year when I have to give the final exam of high school. And around that time, all my friends, some of my friends were like a lot into K-pop, and I always had a habit of, making up prompts like this in the comment section. And as usual, I made one for her, and she was like, Sensei. Oh, yeah, she's my Seito-chan. I used to call her Seito-chan, and she used to call me Sensei. And she's like, Sensei. And one of our other friends, we call him Anija. So Anija and Seito-chan, we also Suki. She's also known as Suki. Let's call her Suki. We used to call ourselves ATS because like Anija Sensei, Anija Suki and Sensei, like matching it with BTS, and we were like huge armies back then. Not Anija though, but he also used to listen to K-pop because of Suki. So Suki and Anija told me that Sensei, you have to write that. I'm like, I can't write, but and then they were like reassuring, no, you can do this. They were like cheering on for me, and I was like, okay, let's try this. So the prompt was like really bad. It was like a trashy parody sort of story, and that could also be a prompt for today. I have way too many prompts, so that could also be a prompt for today. I'm not gonna say in details. It was an exo fan fiction, and somehow Anja, he's such a mean boy. He said that let's bring Kim Jong Un, and then let's bring Kim Kardashian, because why not? Because the main characters of that fan fictions were a bunch of people they who had surname Kims. So yeah, it was, we love Kims. So that's how he was joking. Think about it. If it's like a Wattpad classic fan fiction, like think like there's gonna be Kim Jong Un, Ban Ki Moon, and Kim Kardashian in the cover on the cover. It's gonna be very cringy. But that's also very much entertaining. Well, if you dare to write or make covers like that, it's I don't think I will be able to check that out. I have low cringe tolerance. I'm sorry. I don't know how I managed to write that stuff, but it wasn't about Ban Ki-moon or Kim Kardashian or Kim Jong-un, but they were like, side characters for comic relief. Yeah, I guess I have a very dark history. So that's how I started writing. I mean, that was like the first thing I wrote. And afterward, I started writing more of fan fiction. I mean, have you, if you have read the bios, you will know that Tory, me, Detroit, I'm a huge fan of fan fiction, and fan fiction has this own style of, own level of comfort that I don't know. I just feel good when writing fan fiction. Well, I also love writing original fiction, but fan fiction has its own special place in my heart. So the next year, I also tried writing fan fiction a lot of them. The most would be 2K18, and that was like my peak. And even now I'm writing some of the fan fictions and making a lot of them. I always enjoy the process of it. Yeah. So that's how I discovered my love for writing, and I haven't looked back ever since. Writing is so much fun. I feel like writing is like kind of gives you this nostalgic feeling, or it is kind of like the feeling of that one has when they're in love. Writing feels like falling in love. At least to me, it does. Yeah, no wonder. So yeah, writing, I love it. I should do that more often. But yeah, I should write more. And if you're interested, you can try out these prompts as well. Okay, what's my favorite genre? I love horror. I love comedy. I also love them horror and comedy together. And I read a lot of gothic short stories. Gothic, I don't know, the gothic stories has its own atmospheric feeling. One of the things that I don't love about gothic stories is the melodrama and one-dimensional characters, but the description, the ambience, the tone is like top notch. I love that. I really love Bram Stoker and also H.G. Wells. I think I should make a list of it in the next episode sometimes. I don't know. In some of the episodes. What am I reading recently? Recently, technically, I read a lot of books together, but recently am reading this book called. Actually, I haven't started it, so I shouldn't say it. Okay, I am actually reading a short story collection, Gothic short stories collection. And I also brought out a book called Devil's Island by C.M. Saunders. But I haven't started reading it, but I do want to finish it by this year. I have at least up to 20 books, at least not hardcover, hard copy. I want to read at least 20 of them, and let's see how many ebooks I'm going to read. I don't know. I don't know. This is what I've been planning, but let's see how life goes. Allah knows best. Mm, all right. This word always reminds me of Brandon Sanderson. I should make another segment on fan fiction because I feel like I have a lot of things to talk about in fan fiction. What's Lit Night about? So it's about anything that is related to writing or anything, reading books, prompts, obviously, and I might talk about my writing process, how I plan or how I do. I'm more of a planner than a pantser. It's like a plotter than a pantser. There are many names for it, but it's not like I've never pants, but it's true. Like I plan a lot, but sometimes I throw it out the window. Sometimes I actually go along the plan, but when I'm typing, I improvise a lot. And to be honest, nobody's like 100% plotter or 100% pantser because, yeah, everybody's like a mixture of two. It's like a spectrum. So I fall into the plotter side. I feel like this is a very weird, junky stream of consciousness because it doesn't feel like connected that much. It's more like whatever is coming in my mind and I'm saying it, whatever. Anyway, so I plan of uploading these podcasts on Wednesday because our website is pink, but apparently I might upload more on other days depending on how many times I sit. So, yeah, I have a habit of breaking my own routine. It's just, I don't, the thing is, like how people say that if you're a homebody or if you're an adventurous person, to be honest, I lean towards homebody, but I always love changes because if I don't change things in my life, life feels like a rut. So that's why I always break routine to, you know, change things up. So yeah, like say if I go out every day on an adventure, I'll get tired of it. Or if I stay at home doing my stuff, work, and everything, whatever, I'll also get bored. So I kind of like mix things up for change in my life. I love changes. My sister doesn't. I think my mom doesn't either. I don't know. So yeah. All right. So how should I conclude this episode? It was such a trashy episode. It's just me talking to walls, but yeah, apparently this is what I do. I guess this I wouldn't call this podcast thing my hobby. To be honest, I don't have that many hobbies. Like I to me writing is like a form of happiness, but not like a hobby. It's like something I it's more than that. Podcast, it's like let's call it an experience. And say sometimes I love trying out new food, so I would call it an I would categorize it under the experiment category. So also I love journaling, but it's also part of my life. I don't consider it hobbying. And my journaling is an aesthetic, but I do have a lot of different kinds of journals, like daily journal, art journal. Also, I call this writing keywords journal because I tend to forget stuff, so I make lists. So every time I write a chapter, I write, I make a list on that, and after I'm done, I just cross it off. There's another type of journal. I call it the dream journal. If I have any interesting dreams, I write it down because you can make stories out of it. There are many like that. I have this journal called Miscellany Journal. It's I write anything like what I'm feeling or something funny, a quote if I make up something like that. And Dream Journal is sometimes a mashup of Miscellany Journal. And there's this other journal called Idea Journal. And some of the journals are theme based. Did I miss anything? Let's see. Oh, I have review journal. I if I read books and watch cartoons, anime, or watch any movie and series, I write down the review on it. I don't know. I like you can tell that I'm like a list lover person. I love lists. I love making lists, but I don't stick to my lists always because, as I said, I love changes. Yeah, some of the journals are very theme based in a sense that there's this journal I call it epitaph because it's based on the song epitaph by King Crimson. So I made a line of it like friends will be my epitaph. So epitaph is based on it's on an epitaph I wrote mainly about friends. And that diary was given to me by one of my precious friends. And we share the same name, by the way. Yeah. So that's one kind of journal. Also, this journal where I wrote only the funny texts I have with my friends. And this other journal, I only wrote about characters from a certain universe, fictional universe. It's only about that characters. So yeah, you can tell like I have like loads of journals like that. I call them theme-based journals, but they're not that I don't make journals like that often. So the regulars are like daily, the miscellany, the review, the keyword, and lastly the idea journal. So yeah, I have loads of journals. Journals journaling is fun, okay. And also I like writing down my thoughts. It's like, kind of like word vomit. It's like when head gets too much stuffy, you just have to write it down to, calm yourself down. And journaling definitely calms me. I love it. So I think I should end today's episode because, well, I shouldn't talk about everything in one episode. So yeah. So there's that. How am I feeling these days? Well, I would consider myself an optimistic person, and obviously life has its own up and down, and yeah, I am trying to work on my self-deprecation. Like, thoughts like this came a few days ago, Like my brain was joking that, oh, funny thing, your name is Victory, but you feel like a loser every day. I don't want to I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to be that self-deprecating person anymore. I want to have confidence in myself. I want to believe in myself. Also, I want to believe in Allah, God, cuz yeah, this is this is what it matters. Deprecation is not good. Yeah, I'm working on that, and I should also work on many other things, but let's hope it goes well. Hope I hope that your life also goes well, listener, whoever you are. So lastly, it's time for outro. Have a lit night. Bye.